did you come up? How did you come up with heel entertainment? What's the meaning of heel entertainment?
All right. I'll tell you what it means and I'll take you back. HEAL stands for hope, inspiration, love, and loss. Because of hope, I have the inspiration to pursue what I love at the risk of loss. You can't get on the hill if you're afraid to take an L.
Oh, snap now. Yeah.
You like that?
Yeah,
You can't get on the hill if you're afraid to take an L. Do we know where the road's gonna end? Who are we following? Are we further than where we began?
The misconception is that being a gentleman is just about being polite, courteous to women. In actuality, to be a true gentleman means that you have respect for your fellow man, so it encompasses men and women. Style is something that you evolve into. It's about your personality. It's about how you live your life.
Welcome to the next episode of the Gentleman of Style Show. I'm Baldwin.
And I'm Creech. And today we got a great guest. He's accomplished, Grammy nominated. I've heard his vocals. They're sultry. I know some of you women have probably heard it, been to the show. So I know you already know what I'm talking about.
Absolutely, absolutely. So without further ado, let's get straight into it, as my such esteemed co-host so casually mentioned earlier. Let's do it.
All right. So today on the Gentleman of Style Show, let's welcome Mr. Alvin Garrett.
All right.
Brothers, what's up? Welcome. It's so good to be here, fellas. And I'm right here in Birmingham, but I wish I was over there with you guys, but we making it do what it do.
Making it do what it do. That's how we do.
Oh, yeah.
Hey, let me jump in real quick here. You're in Birmingham, Alabama, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And you know we just had all this presidential election and all of this stuff that just happened and everything. What is the climate over there in Birmingham right now? What's the feel like?
Man, honestly, it feels good over here. Let me tell you something about Alabama, right?
Okay, go ahead.
Our racism is very slick, you know what I'm saying? It's kind of slick, you know. In the city, you know, everybody nice. You know what I'm saying? We smile, we say roll tide.
Yeah.
You dig a little deeper, you're gonna find some issues, and you know, it's some deep-rooted, deep-seated issues, like in a lot of places in the South. But I will say we're not a rude town. You know what I'm saying? Birmingham people are just simply nice, and they'll give you a roll tide before they call you something else. So most, and you know, that conservative Christian type of environment, for the most part, people just, you know, they may believe differently than you, but they tend to be more pleasant.
Right.
You know
Right,
what I'm saying? And so I will say, it's not heated or nothing like that. It's not like the 60s and the 70s where the dogs was out and the fire hose was out. We know the history, but we got a lot of good people over here, and it's not this heavy racist town. Of course, it's more of a Republican environment like it is in Georgia, but it's progressive. We got a lot of things, great things happening over here, and I'm proud to be a part of that movement here, especially with the music and the entertainment industry.
absolutely, absolutely. So that Floyd situation that we just had, was it kind of tense around that time, or was it still kind of the same?
Well, we had a situation where we had a little riot downtown, like a lot of cities did. But
Right,
actually, what I found, at least in my own experience, was that it awakened a lot of people, and that actually inspired my last album that I put out in July, which is called The Awakening, because you saw a lot more people, uh, white people, wanting to know. You know what I mean? Because this one, they saw it a lot differently. I believe that the pandemic slowed everybody down. We started feeling more human towards each other because we didn't know that who was going to die next. So that we felt more neighborly, more human. And then this happened. I believe everybody sort of saw it. And then, too, the way he killed George Floyd was something that I call, like, to them, animal cruelty, right? There's a
right,
way to put down an animal,
Absolutely.
and even with animals, they wouldn't suffocate an animal in that way. So that resonated a little different. And so you saw this sort of inquisitive nature of, hey man, I know this one's hurt, this one hurts. They saw it different. They started asking questions. So it was a little bit of a weird kind of time, because it's like, wait a minute, y'all didn't see Philando Castile, get shot and killed in front of his daughter. The whole father boyfriend thing didn't quite connect.
right.
And so that
Eric
was,
Gardner.
yeah, there you go. You go down the list and you saw that these things didn't emotionally connect. But even here, the George Floyd situation connected differently. And I think it has a lot to do with the pandemic and also the manner in which he died, the slow, suffocating manner, and then watching it. I think, had he just shot him, it wouldn't have been the situation. You know what I
Right,
mean?
right.
Because that's honestly, that's acceptable. And I hate to say that, but to them it's acceptable. Pow, hey, I fear for
Right.
my life. They saw no fear. So they couldn't blame it on fear. It was just inhumane, And so, but I will say that this town, we do our best to kind of find that space where we can coexist and not be able to say roll tide when we see you.
Right.
I must say that I'm a bit of a centrist, to be honest.
Yes.
I believe that the road to recovery is traveled on common ground. And I believe in dialogue. I believe in compromise. I believe in rational and reasonable thinking, being able to see the other side of a conversation. And I feel that in the divisive nature on both sides, that we've gotten away from being able to relate with each other. And you have to be able to relate and listen in order to get any progress done. And so I am hopeful that with Joe Biden winning, that shows that there's a sort of a hunger for more moderate and reasonable policy, reasonable conversation. Like I say, I don't believe in buildings being burned down, especially like here in Birmingham. When the riot hit and they were mad, they went down 4th Avenue, and that's the black-owned business district. Why are black people burning down businesses on 4th Avenue? Like,
Right,
so it felt wrong to me. I don't care how upset you are about social justice. Don't burn down the black businesses, okay?
right,
So
right.
you're not going, I don't care what you say, what you call it, what you hashtag it, that's not going to sit well with me, because that's not a reasonable way to get things done. Same way on the right side, you know, going and accusing all black people of having illegitimate votes. You know what I mean? Just that's not right either. So just the extremism on both sides, in my opinion, doesn't get us further along. So I'm hoping that with this new administration and just an awakening of reasonable people that say, hey, core values unite the most of us. You know what I'm saying? And let's fight for that. And that's where I stand, in my own personal journey.
Well spoken. Well spoken. All right. I digress from that situation.
All right.
Let's get into, as you were saying, whenever we know you from Birmingham, Alabama, give us a little background on how you got into music.
Okay. Well, I was born and raised in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. Now, I'm a preacher's kid. So I grew up in church, of course, and I fell in love with watching this guy play the bass, and he's slapping that thing. So my dad bought me a bass guitar at 11 years old, and I just started learning how to play by ear, and all the way up to even now, most people knew me as a bass guitarist. I toured around the country, did a lot of sessions, got pretty popular as a touring bass guitarist. But over the years, maybe around 2000 up to now, I just sort of ventured into songwriting and just fell in love with singing and writing. And about 2010 was when I made the decision to like really dive into being a solo artist and start getting vocal lessons and, started really doing what I had been doing for other artists, which is development and writing and production. Start doing it for myself. And it's been a good journey, a long journey. But I've found here recently that space to where I could love my own voice, and I found my voice. And as a writer, where you're used to finding the voice for other people, that's a different type of place to find your own voice.
What is your process? Just for people out there, what is your process when you're writing for someone else? Do you spend time with them? Do you have different, sessions with them before you start the writing, or is this something where you probably pen something for everybody? You just got to find the right person to actually, marry that song.
Well, I'll say if there was a time in my career where I didn't have the opportunity to really connect with an artist, connect with the team, and find out all the information I prefer to know, I worked hard to get out of that phase because I didn't like it, blind writing.
Right.
But my preferable process is to know, who is the person, who's the artist, and then who's your fans, who are you targeting, who's your marketing team, who are you going after? Because the way I write methodically, you know what I mean? Because I can find a great melody, a great topic, but if I don't know who you are and who your fans, what they want to hear from you, then I'm gonna miss the mark. So a part of my process is talking to the artist, finding that passion, finding out, just listening to them, just so I can connect and then get inside their head, but write with purpose. You know what I mean? Saying, okay, you're going after women over 40. That's a different conversation than women 18 to 25. Right. So I like to narrow my parameters of, when I'm going in creatively. And once I set that lane for myself, then I just kind of go with it from there. So that's, now that I have a little bit more credibility and sort of earn the right to sort of talk to the artist, right, as opposed they say, send me something, just send me a song. Send me something hot. I'm like, volcano hot, jalapeno hot. Is this Birmingham hotter, Atlanta, or Texas hot?
Right.
It's too many hots. I'm just lost.
So the flavor is different. The flavor.
Yeah. I need to narrow this thing down. I hated that phase of my career where you felt like, just keep sending stuff because you be writing and you think it's great, but you don't have enough information to know if you're on target. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So on that note, you're associated with Ruben Studdard. Did he find you or did you find him?
Truth be told, we found each other, man.
Okay.
Before all the music things started, man, he was singing in gospel choirs and I was playing for him, and a brother introduced us, thought we'd hit it off. Man, we just became the best of friends around 99, 2000. We love football, God, and girls. That was just keep it straight. We love football, God, and girls, and we was good. And so
you can't go wrong with that. Hey,
can't go wrong with football, God, and girls.
You can't go wrong with that.
So I mean, we literally, been best friends for ever since, man. And so I started a band called Just a Few Cats, he had a gospel group called God's Gift. And, you know, we were doing smooth jazz, you know, and he was like, man, nobody want to hear all that jazz. He want to hear some singing. And so he joined the band, and we started killing it around town, promoting our own concerts. This pre-social media. So we would go, you know, like hustle up. We sell, we go town, you know, house to house, you know, job to job, selling tickets. So we remember that hustle. So when American Idol happened, you know, it was more like a family victory, and I was able to tour with him as his musical director, bass guitarist, and then of course start investing in my own personal dream, being a writer, producer, and I just honestly wasn't. Although I wanted to be a major producer at that time, I was still on the left side of the curve. I was still learning, but as a bass guitarist, I was ready. You know what I'm saying? And so my brother took me everywhere he went. So, like I said, we still friends to this day.
I mean, that's a definite blessing to have the opportunity to almost not necessarily learn as you go, but to hone your skills while still in the mix. Because a lot of times, you know, you only get a shot. You know, people give you one shot at, you know, a song, a track, or whatever. They give you one shot, and if it ain't that fire, you know, they move on, and you don't get that. You know, you don't get that flow and that momentum to try to, you know, change that, as you said, get into that curve at least. So that was definitely a great thing to have him, you know, well, have another skill. But I think that's the other thing with music. A lot of people don't realize it's great to have more than one skill. You could be a great singer, but can you play the piano? Can you flute? Can you write? Can you do all these different things? So it was definitely a plus for you to be able to play that, you know, play that bass and be able to be instrumental. I think that's what music for me now, that's what I wish would come back more. I'm missing the bands. Like where are the bands? You know what I mean? Like I've got a friend that plays well, he actually manages and directs a go-go band.
Okay.
And every time they play, if I'm able, I go because I love the instrumentation. I love to hear the horns and the bongos.
Yeah.
I like all of that. So good live music, that's what I'm wishing and hoping 2021 will bring that back. Some, you know, Mint Condition, the Roots, just straight band music. I love
almost like a R&B revival or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
Everything feels like a hip hop feel now. Even the R&B feels hip hop. You know, it's more of a hip hop than it's the R&B flavor. So I'm looking forward to, you know, I love the neo soul era. That was one of my one of the things I liked, the Jill Scotts and the India Reeds and all that stuff. So I, you know, and I love jazz too. So I, you know, having that come back, that it's on your plate, Alvin. You got to bring it back, man.
Yeah. Well, man, I as you can see behind me, Hill Entertainment, that's my independent company that I launched earlier this year. And one of the things throughout my career, because I've never been signed by a label, I've, you know, never had anybody, what shall I say, put me on.
Right, absolutely.
So every opportunity I've had, I had to earn it, which I love about my journey. But what I believe is that you have to connect to the people, you know, because the labels aren't really interested, and I'm just keeping it real, they're not interested in positive Black male music that appeals to family, shall I say, because, you know, when you speaking to women in a certain way that's affectionate, you strengthening that bond between man and woman,
right.
You know, and so we know the attacks on our culture oftentimes is perpetuated through the music, you know, drugs and gangs and you see it being lived out in life. And, you know, we were the leaders in romance at one time, like you say. So it doesn't mean that people don't want it, right? It doesn't mean that people are just like you. You just have to really have the commitment to get out there and give it to them and connect directly to the people and not expect record labels to do it for you. Because ultimately if they want to sign me, they're going to say, hey, all right, we need the N-word. We need you to just take it to the bedroom, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, nah, I'm gonna write a different way. So I have to forego, you know, that support if I have to stand behind, you know, what my cause is and what I believe in it, which is the same thing for you, which is making music that builds people up, makes them feel something more than just physically, but spiritually, emotionally. So that's what I'm all about in my writing, and I've stood my ground on that, and I'm grateful that I'm starting to get a name for myself as that Sam Cooke, Al Green type of artist out here, you know, and we need that
badly. You know, when I think about the people that are out there kind of holding it in the road for, you know, R&B and the soul. You talk about Sam Cooke and Al Green and Marvin Gaye. You know, when you talk about these guys, again, the music that they do are timeless. Every generation, somebody either remakes, samples, cuts, whatever you want to call it, from something that those guys have done. And it's normal. And we know the certain songs that that people are gonna do, you know, from A Change Gonna Come to, all of the things that we know that come with it. And it's just important. Like now we have we have the Anthony Hamiltons, we have Hamiltons, when you put them in that movement.
right.
You know, Music Soul Child. Some of these guys who are committed to making sure that R&B is what it is, and they don't take it to that level of it has to be all just plain sexual and, you know, let's get aggressive and get the women. It's all about, you know, showing the love and different sides of it, you know, the hurt, the ups, the downs, everything that has to be shown. So yeah, you know, I definitely applaud you for holding it in a row with that. Go ahead, Ron, my bad.
Oh, it's fine. So, Mr. Hill, I know you just mentioned Hill Entertainment on the screen behind you back there. Prior to that, I was just admiring behind you.
Okay.
And you have a setup going on. Where are you located right now? Are you in your studio, or where are you at right now?
It's in the basement of my home.
Okay.
In my home, yes.
Yeah, I see a hard drive down there in tower going on, and I see some other stuff going on in the back. What kind of setup are you working with back there? What type of power instruments are we using?
Okay, so I got the Apollo X8, which is the new Apollo, and this is my screen here. Not the MacBook Pro that I have over there is my previous, but the one I'm on now is the latest MacBook Pro. I've been doing all my latest recording. And this here, this big mama right here, she been with me. She been with me since '08. She ain't going nowhere.
Right. They don't break. Treat them right.
No. You know, they like them old cars where you're like, man, them cars just never broke till they start putting all them computers in it. Like this, the one that you just never get rid of. Now you can't update the software. Don't do that.
Right.
But she just rock solid. You just won't get rid of her. So she sit there, and I got the Manly cardio reference mic and the Vox box. Whoo! So that thing just sucked the soul right out of you, man. It just.
What is that? What's the Vox box? What's that? What is that?
It's the Manly Vox box. It's a compressor, EQ, and preamp all in one from Manly. And man, when you're talking about just capturing, if you breathe, like it captures breath. If your lips smack it, this thing captures it. And so I just recently upgraded to this system because I told the salesman, I said, look, I'm a soul singer. I need to capture soul. I said, I need a mic that if I got to pull it from here, I don't need the mic backing off. I need that thing to capture everything.
Take it off.
Right.
And so even in this latest recording I just did, I was able to like really almost get into a whisper-like space. And this system just really, really captured the essence of what I was feeling on my last project. So yeah, this is where magic happens, man. And so, you know, you see those big studios, and I love that. But I've always been a minimalist, you know, because I had to be, you know.
Well, I'm a firm believer in that you don't need a giant space if you have the right quality of equipment in order to get the job done.
That's right.
I'm a true believer in that. And I really feel what you were saying right now. When you said pick up the whisper,
yes,
the breath of it in that, I was just sitting here thinking when you said that, I was like, man, you know, you sitting by yourself and you got your music turned up, you know, the sound turned up just right and everything. You can really take it in and you can really feel, because it's picking up all the sounds and and it builds up into that. That's some powerful stuff. You know, Go ahead.
No. You go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you
No.
off.
I was just more, elaborate a little bit more on, the equipment and the aesthetics that you have back there in the back. Because I'm sitting here and I'm just watching. I was listening to what you guys were saying and Creech was talking and all of that. But at the same time, I was multitasking in my mind. I was like wondering what's going on in the studio back there. What type of equipment do you have? What are you working with? What's the benefit of that? And you just told us what that was and everything. I appreciate it. I really appreciate it.
And in this small room, because I built it in, basically I closed off a bedroom from the rest of the house.
Yes.
But I also, got nice sound treatment. Not the, that little, a lot of times when people saving money, they'll just throw up the eggshell stuff. Like this is high quality absorption material to make sure that the room is not dead, but it's equally balanced.
Where do you get it from? What type of sound absorption stuff is that? Where do you buy it? Where do you get it from?
Now, this company that I use is called Acoustimac, and I think they're in Tampa, Florida. It's been over 10 years since I bought it.
Yes.
But there are a lot of companies out there, and the main thing is just not getting that foam. You want to get that I forget what it's called. It's been so long since
Is it like those hard boards that come in?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it's a different type of fiber. It's a thick fiber.
It's like a cloth, but then it's like dense on the inside. It's like I
think it's called Corning fiber or something like that. Right. But it's more of a fiber than a foam. And so instead of sucking all the high end out of your room and to where to your ear it sounds dead, but your mix, you might be overcompensating in your highs because you can't hear it in your room. So, so I put a lot of time in when I moved in and built this room out. I put a lot of time into studying. I never went to school. I went to school for business management, but I always read a lot to make sure that I learned about the technology frequencies. And before I started recording, I wanted to make sure I understood what I was doing more so than just because I'm a naturally talented person. So it's like, I hear it. But I want to make sure that what I'm hearing is what is actually happening coming out of the speakers. And so I'm at that place now. I can trust my ear. I can trust my room. So and to go back to what you're saying about whispering and the breath, I remember when I was around some other producers and I would see them taking all the time, they would fade out all the breaths. And every time somebody breathed, they'll fade it out. And I'm like, why are you fading out? And it would have this stale kind of sound to it, digitized sound, because you've taken all the breathing out of the song.
Right.
And I don't like them breaths. I'm like, man, you're crazy. Like I'll be like, I'm like,
that's the soul. That's the soul.
That's the soul. They don't take the soul out of it, man. Like so that's some of the favorite parts of my song. And I'm like, when you capture that at the right spot.
I feel it.
Yes.
Ooh, there it is.
There it is. So it's like you got breathe on the mic. You know what I'm saying? No, go ahead and take that breath. So I'm very meticulous even in my editing to make sure that if I need a breath somewhere, I copy and paste the breath to make sure you feel that connectivity. And when I'm producing myself and other artists, I make sure that I write the song and phrase everything out the way you can sing it live. A lot of times people overlap and cross, fade and punch in, trying to squeeze words in. I'm like, you can't sing that on stage. Breathe. Find another way to tell that story to where I can breathe and people can hear what I have to say and I can perform it live without having to stop. And you know what I mean? So I try to write realistically for the stage when I'm writing for myself and for other artists.
You just taught me something. And even with video, it said the realness is not coming from how good you can clean it up to make it look a smooth type of way. The connectivity comes from the natural aspect of how that translates through, because we're all imperfect to a degree.
Yes.
So when you add the imperfections in there, that is the perfection.
Come on, man.
So
you preaching good right now.
I'm just saying, you told me something. I'm listening to you. That came from you. That ain't come from me.
Man, you know what's so interesting? Because auto-tune and there's a lot of tools that can really just get you all the way perfect. In my last project, I dialed it back. I dialed it back because everybody's voice is like a fingerprint, right? And you
Yes.
have certain, just your voice is the only voice like yours. And so once you add all that processing, it's you start becoming the software, you know. So
Right, right, right.
and I said, let me not hit every note perfect. Let it just be me because the ear wants to hear me. And that's when I start finding my voice is when I stop depending so much on trying to edit myself into perfection and say, just sing it, just sing it how it feels. And if the note is slightly off, that's okay. Cause I'm not going to sing flat because I'm not a pitchy singer, but I don't
Yes.
need to be a perfect singer because I'm not a perfect singer. You know?
Right, right, right,
Well,
right.
that's
So
the other. That's the other
capturing,
part.
capturing that natural imperfection gives the ear. It sounds more natural to the people listening to it as well.
What's the other part about about your audience? Your audience, unless you're just really off, your audience doesn't know that. They what they hear. Most audiences don't know when you hit a note for yourself and it's not the right note. You know that, but the audience don't, and they love it, and they'll sing it that. They'll try to sing it that way. You say it's off, they love it that way because it's something that within there. It's like, oh, that's dope, And sometimes it's probably a bad note, but people love the bad note, and the bad note becomes, synonymous with the song or whatever you're trying to do. So it's
Yeah.
always great to do it to the best of your ability. But when you're trying to make it perfect, it makes the song harder to really feel because you're constantly you're over and you're over and you're over. No, that's not right. That's not right. You want it to be at a high level, but you don't want to seek so much perfection that once you're done, you're just like, that's one of the songs, I really didn't care for doing it, but I got it done. You want to love it and be able to, have fun with it, enjoy it, go through it. But if it becomes just plain work because you're trying to make it perfect,
Yeah, you got to go for the feeling, man, and that's what music is about. It's supposed to connect you to an emotion, and that's, when I'm working in the studio, I say I write empathetically, you know, like who am I talking to? What do I want them to feel in addition to myself? You know what I mean? But what do I want my audience to like really, really feel when I'm performing a song or when they're listening to my music? And when people give you feedback and it's always the same, that means you've successfully done your job as a writer and as an artist because they're hearing what you want them to hear. They shouldn't stumble upon, a meaning or stumble upon a feeling, like a TV commercial, a great ad campaign is going to tell you exactly what they want you to buy,
right.
And so I'm telling people what I want them to buy into when they listen to my music, buy into this feeling of hope or buy into this feeling of love, and so I'm I think everything through down to like just even one word can throw off the meaning of a line. I'm just, and you have to put that in there, and just be as meticulous as possible without losing the essence of what you're trying to get across.
How did you come up? How did you come up with heel entertainment? What's the meaning of heel entertainment?
All right. I'll tell you what it means and I'll take you back. HEAL stands for hope, inspiration, love, and loss. Because of hope, I have the inspiration to pursue what I love at the risk of loss. You can't get on the hill if you're afraid to take an L.
Oh, snap now.
All right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
like that?
That's
You
good stuff.
you can't get on the
That's good
hill if you're
stuff.
afraid to take an L.
That's good stuff.
Well, what I love about it is you put some meaning to it. A lot of times people come up with names. Hey, I'm just going to use this name. I always love the fact that when I ask people, especially when you're naming your company, you're naming your brand, you're naming whatever it is, what does it mean? It's easy, when you self-title, but when you're putting something else together, what does that really mean? So,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's my journey. I've been climbing this hill. I'm always climbing. It's what I call it the faith message rebranded. Faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things not seen. You can't get on the hill if you're afraid to take an air. You got to keep climbing. And so, like my dad, like I said, my dad's a pastor. He always taught me about faith and how to believe for what bigger than what you see. And so, actually, when I was working on a project, maybe around 2016, 17, I was trying to make an album, and I found that I had songs that were sort of in the hope and inspiration category, then the love and loss category, and I was trying to put them together. And so
Right.
I was like healed because of the way I classified the songs. And one morning I was just laying in 2018, I was just laying in my bed, and it was like, I just said, I heard the good Lord speak to me. And what I told you is what I woke up at 3 a.m. with in my heart, and I wrote it down, and I've been committed to it ever since, because it really encapsulates my life. And my whole philosophy is I cannot make anything happen if I'm afraid to take an L. Like, I just have to invest in myself. And I've had a lot of people tell me no that I thought would tell me yes to my dream. And the question is, am I going to stop climbing because they said no, or am I going to keep climbing? And so keep climbing is my motto, and I live by that every day. So I'm always on the hill. No matter what I accomplish, I'm still climbing for more, still dreaming again, because that's just the way I live, So it's definitely a meaningful thing.
Well, there's always another hill to climb.
Yes, yes.
Let me ask you this. This is very important. I've been sitting here, and I'm listening to you talk and all of that, and it's very enlightening to me. I have a very, very important question to ask.
Okay.
You're Grammy nominated, or do you have a Grammy? Is it Grammy nominated?
Grammy nominated.
Not Grammy nominated. Have you ever been to the Grammys?
I have not.
You haven't been to the Grammys.
Mm-mm.
Dang, that messes up my question. I was going to ask you what.
I went to some Grammy parties.
Okay, then my question's still valid. Then, what is that environment like?
Oh, okay. So most of my Hollywood experience came when I was running with Ruben.
Okay.
It really is it's a cool environment. It's fast paced. It's exciting. But it's also you have to be grounded, because it'll get you caught up. You know what I'm saying?
Yes.
Because you don't know who's real, who's not real, and most of it's not real. We friends. This is my friend, man. So I've always been. I'm a simple kind of guy, so I was cool with it, but it didn't change me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But I see how it changes people so easily.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's a fast-paced life. And especially if you famous, you're getting girls, everybody at your front door, everybody knocking, want something. And you can start buying into that you really are that special. But what I say is, if you take all of that away, if you take everything away, who are you? And what are you?
Right.
If you can't genuinely pass a person by and make them feel good, just who you are without them knowing your credentials, then what's really real? You know what I'm saying? And I've always been the type of person where credentials, I'm going to give you that smile. I'm going to give you that charisma. I'm going to show you that love. And you're going to be like, who is this guy? You know what I mean? Because that's my commitment. I ain't going to, fame and fortune is not what I strive for, but I've seen that close enough to know that you have to stay grounded. One of the things I say is, as you reach for the clouds, keep your feet on the ground.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely.
So it has to go both ways.
That's got to be stressful, though. Being placed in that type of situation, as far as from a fame standpoint, and then not knowing who's real and who's not, who's real, who's not real, all of that type of thing. Mm-hmm. Man, that to me, it has a way of playing on your psyche to a standpoint.
Yeah, and I can just speak from observation, because I was close to my buddy. It is tough, because you go from being just keep it real, just two dreamers in Birmingham, Alabama, singing around town, to wherever you go on the planet, everybody know your name.
Right.
Like that.
Right. Right.
That's, making more money in one show than your mama made in a whole year. Right. That's, you have to be trained for that. You know what I mean? Like, that's not something your mind can just embrace like that. You know what I mean? So for me, I've been at it 20 years. So it wouldn't move my needle one bit. But back then, for him, I get it. You see what I'm saying? I get it, because you going from, you big fluffy guy, you got girl, but not girls like that,
Right.
So you starting to wonder, like, is this me, or is this American Idol title? So it does start playing on your psyche of who really loves me.
Right.
You know, who knows me, and which is why I appreciate how he kept his folks close to him. He kept me close because he knew no matter what, who come and go, this my dog.
Right.
We was in it from the beginning, and we gonna be in it at the end. And so he always kept me close because he knew I wouldn't move. I'm like, hey man, don't buy that for her.
She don't need that Birkin purse.
She don't need that.
She don't need it.
No, she just want to smash. You know that, give her what she really want.
There you go. That's it. That's it. Yeah. Man, that's good stuff. That's good stuff. Appreciate it.
So the last out. So your last project. How long did it take you to write the project? And at the end of the project, what do you want people? What do you for the people that receive the project? What did you want them to receive out of that project?
Man, when I tell you that was the quickest project I've ever worked on. The first single, Something Is Different This Time. And you may appreciate this since you have a music background. I sat down about 9 o'clock, turned the music on, I started recording. I was done at 1, and I never touched it again. Like, my first mix was my mix that I released. It happened the night that there was this, kind of riot situation in town. And from there, every song literally just came out.
Right.
Like, I knew that it was sort of this connection to the moment we were living in. So I didn't say, oh, let me just make some music. It's like I couldn't stop it from coming out. Like, it's just boom, boom. And I got that album done in 30 days. I started, I think the first song I did was May 30th. And then by July 15th, the album was out. And so I just wanted, and you can hear it and feel it. It's 5 songs, but it's pure. It's pure. It's in the moment. It's speaking from the heart. And I just wanted people, when they listen to it, to be awakened. Listen to the questions that I asked in the songs, like, where are we marching? Do we know where the road's going to end? Who are we following? Are we further than where we begin? You know what I'm saying? Things like that. Who's holding your hand? Or you should have leading you in the right direction. Just a more gentle way to approach a tough conversation about the things that we've been going through in our country and as African Americans. So I'm really proud of that project.
I'm proud of the questions you asked, because those are some of the same questions that I'm still asking. Because it's great to get out here and march, but what are you marching for? What are you going to do? What are you asking for? You can march, you're standing up and you're singing, you're shouting, you're doing all this. What are you asking for? That's where I'm all for everybody marching and standing up and having a voice. But until you put something together where you can ask for something specific and say, this is what I need as a community, this is what I need as a state, this is what I need as a project, this is what I need in the suburbs, whatever it is, until you put something specific together and ask for it, then you're just marching in vain. You're basically, you're being seen, you're being heard, but you're not asking for anything. Where's your actionable pieces that you want? So
right.
What you're asking, those questions align with that. So yeah.
Absolutely. And music is a great way to sort of set that tone for conversation. When I put the song out, Something's Different This Time, and hopefully all of your viewers and listeners will get a chance to check it out, I had a couple of white pastors reach out to me and say, hey, I heard that song and man, I want to be that something different. But I don't know how, right? And I just sensed that there was this opportunity to educate with empathy, right? Because ignorance is not always willful. And we take that for granted, that people are ignorant by choice.
Right.
And that they're turning a blind eye. Because, and I always take this perspective. I'm a father, I'm a husband, I know how hard it is to get up every day and just think about my own family, right? We take for granted that they know what we're going through. That day to day, that they may not be the one just caught up trying to take care of their family. You know what I mean? Some people aren't as knowledgeable of the systemic racism that is baked into the laws and policies. that they never have to be conscious of. You know what I mean? And I sat down and I educated these people and said, hey, look, you may not understand how the public, the what you call it, the public defenders, how they'll give young black guys, you know, they won't request youthful offender status, but if they're young and they're white and they're 17, they'll request it for them. That's a major difference in the outcome of those two people by a simple request to the judge by a public defender. You will never know that. You know, so a lot of things are so crafty, and you can't march in the streets and get those types of things changed because you're just angering the people. You need to say, look, why don't you help me pressure the people you voting for? Because what if this was your son who just had a simple petty crime that now, because of the system, he doesn't get a chance to redeem himself like your son? You see what I'm saying? And now they start feeling more human. And I think we have to humanize our conversation by saying we both fathers. I don't care if you vote for who I vote for. Let's just be fathers. You see what I'm saying? Feel what I feel as a father, you know, and screaming at a person. And that in my song said, why are we hollering? That's not how we're going to win. And sometimes you have to take a softer approach and sit down with people and say, look, you've done me no wrong simply because you're white, and I've done you no wrong simply because I'm black. Now, when you do me wrong, we're going to hold each other accountable. But let's start from a place of respect to where we can at least have a conversation and I can educate you on something you may not be aware of simply because you don't have to be in this country. You know what I mean? You can turn a blind eye a lot easier being white than you can being black.
You know, it's amazing. Some of our own black people have that same issue because they didn't grow up in a certain way. I mean, just realistically, there's some black people, they didn't grow up with any struggle in their background, period. They've never had a struggle. So they can't relate to what we talk about when we're talking about, you know, kids getting, 10 years for, first offense on, on some weed charges. These kids do 6-7 years easy, hard time over some weed that now is a $1 billion industry that they're now legalizing, and only 1%, if that, I think it's either between 1 and 4% of the actual owners of the cannabis industry are black, and they're having a hard time even getting into it. We're talking about millionaires who have money to get into the industry, but it's hard for them to get into the industry.
That's right. Exactly.
Whereas white culture and white America and corporate America, they're going through and making sure that they basically have a monopoly on the situation.
Right.
So it's the thought process of, a lot of people don't know, but you have to be willing to try to put yourself in the know. As black people, we have a responsibility to know what each other are going through. White America tends to think that we are over exaggerating by what we're talking about when we say we have it hard and it's a struggle. But George Floyd showed you, we're not exaggerating. We're not just talking. It's not just, some killers and some thugs and some gang members that are out here killing each other and the cops are killing them. It's literally people that are not necessarily criminals for life. It's people that are down on their luck or just in the wrong situation and end up losing their lives. And then sometimes you're not even in the wrong situation. You're sitting in your house. Breonna Taylor was in her house. She wasn't bothering nobody. Didn't have anything negative going on whatsoever. And she lost her life. Another young man did the same thing where the white female officer went into the wrong apartment and thought he broke into her apartment, but she was in the wrong apartment. Now, she did get incarcerated for that, but again, as black people, it's bad when we can't even sit in our own house and feel like we're safe.
Yeah, and it's interesting you say, I'll confess and say that I grew up, I'll say middle class, not even upper middle class. My dad was a coal miner, and I went to a school system where everybody from every side of town in Tuscaloosa went to the same school. So the rich white kids went to school with the poor black kids and everything in between. And I just always had a nudge to stay away from the gang guys. I just knew not to hang with the dope boys. Play sports. I stayed in class, and all growing up, because I was taught hard work is the way. I was taught that. I always had this perception in my mind that all you got to do is work hard. You know what I'm saying? And that you are responsible for, you know, what happens. And I carried that belief system, I ain't gonna lie, all the way up to my adult years. And here just recently, past 2 or 3 years, I started working with this social services agency called the Dannon Project, which is a reentry program with a songwriting program that I developed. And I started to get to know guys that's been in jail and in prison. And when you sit and listen to somebody say, man, I broke in these houses because I was starving. Or, man, I sold drugs to get, I got to take care of my baby mama. When you start finding out the statistics that these boys that's going to jail and prison ain't selling drugs to live like these music videos, they selling drugs for necessities. It changes your heart because you getting to know them, you talking to them, and you realize if you just had another way, if you had another way to make an earnest living, you probably wouldn't get caught up, because once we train them, because it's a workforce development program, once they get the skills, they go get jobs in Mercedes-Benz, they become electricians, they fix HVAC, they become certified nursing, and they never go back to jail, simply because you gave them a way other than the streets. And so I've been converted, like, because I sat and talked to people, you know, but I didn't grow up around the hood guys. I didn't grow up around that. I didn't look down on them, but I knew not to get caught up in it. But now I'm giving back and saying, look, what can we do to uplift each other? Let me help you on your path to redemption. You know what I'm saying? And so I love what I do now outside. You know, I'm still involved with music, but being able to work with young people and give them hope and be real with them and say, look, I ain't never been to jail. I ain't ever going. I don't care what you did. I don't care what you did. You don't have to go back either. You can change your life. You know what I'm saying? You can do good with your life. And when you show them that love and respect, but you also show them a way to take care of themselves and fend for themselves economically, is when you start seeing them step up. You know what I'm saying? And that's all we're saying is give me an actual chance to compete, not to take anything from you. Just give me a chance to compete in this economy. You know, and I feel that that's the support we need as Black men, Black women, Black families, is when we turn to ourselves and say, let's make sure that we are supporting each other economically and providing opportunities in education so that we can start sort of bypassing these things that they have, these traps that they have set up for us.
Right.
So I'm in my own little way, man, I'm doing the most I can to just help the young people here in Birmingham with my music and my program.
Well, we all got to do our little part. Our little part, your little part, his little part, their little part. It all becomes the big part. You know, I grew up in the projects around a lot of cats that to this day, when I see them, they've done something with their life. So it's not, the environment doesn't necessarily have to take over who you are as a person if you want better. You know, some of the cats that I grew up with, social workers, shares, they own businesses. And this wasn't, you know, we came up in a time, you know, in the 80s or whatever, when the projects kind of weren't like, you know, we were never South Central. You know, we weren't LA, we weren't Blood. Yeah. We grew up in a social economic status of being damn it poor. That's what we grew up in. So, right. You know, it wasn't that, you know, it was a gang infested, this is what was going on in our community. No, it was poor people being dropped in one space and saying, here, you know, this is how we're going to take care of you. Now we got to retrain our minds to take care of ourselves. Stop looking for that government assistance, and let's assist each other, because realization is a lot of people that's in the projects are very smart. And
absolutely.
If they figure out what they want to do with their lives, which I have to say, a lot of these cats that I grew up with, they did that. They figured out what they wanted to do. But if they figure out what they want to do with their lives, and we all get together and start to push, kind of like Asian America and some of the Latin Americans basically coming together and pushing one, and basically make sure everybody succeeds, you know, we wouldn't have this problem. We just got to get out of that mentality of, you know, I'm going to hate on him because he's doing better or he's leaving the hood and, he a sellout. Yeah, call me what you want. I ain't been back to the hood since. If I'm visiting, I'm never going to apologize for doing better. And when you start to apologize for doing better, you're doing yourself a disservice. So
That's right.
You know?
And what you said there is something I feel strongly about. Is turning home. You know what I mean? Just because I can talk to my neighbors all day long about their house and what they need to do for my house, but I got to clean up my own house first.
Yeah.
In my class, I say if we get nothing else accomplished, but you simply seeing this other black person as a family member, a brother that's worth living simply because they black, we've done a great deal. I said we got to raise the bar for black life with black people.
Yeah.
If we want the rest of the world to find authenticity in that statement, we must first find value in it ourselves. Whereas simply because you black, you get to live today.
Yeah.
We gonna throw blows, we might fight, we might scream and holler, but you gonna walk away because I can't do that. You look just like me. Now, that shouldn't sound like a fairy tale statement I just said, but that if we can start there and say, man, your life matter to me simply because you black, then we ain't got to argue and scream so loud for the rest of the world to believe us when we say that. You know what I'm saying? And I know we all know we didn't do this to ourselves, but we smart enough now to undo what's been done to us in terms of how we see each other,
You know, I really appreciate art, and I was actually on Instagram last night, and I saw a piece of art that I admired it. It looked really really nice. I kind of read into what may have went into it, so I clicked on the link that actually went to that artist, and the next thing I know, it was about 2 hours later, I was on his page just looking at all his work, and I found myself like commenting on some of the intelligence and the reasons why he did particular pieces, and I kind of found myself drawn into the conversation, and he was doing videos and explaining about black art, and this is black art, about black art and how he was collecting black art, and he is a black artist and all of that, and I'm just looking at it, and to your point, back to us, giving back to us, circulating the money in our communities and all of that. I'm like, man, that's a definite thing. And I say I'm only making this this comparison or this analyzation is because I appreciate the art. That's something that I like. I should put my money, if I'm going to invest in something like that, into that community, if I really appreciate it on that level. Back to the music, or anyone that has a self-interest in something that they like, they should invest their money into the black community that focuses on that. They should be intentional about finding that thing that they're interested in that community that is satisfactory to them, and put it there. That would help circulate that money and keep it in our hands longer to that. We don't immediately have to address and go out and get something else that we think looks good or we feel good about. Even if we feel good about it, be intentional about it. Be very intentional about placing it where it should be.
I'm gonna be a devil's advocate. Just keep it real. Sometimes you just can't put your money into black folk, and I'm just keep telling.
See, but that's the attitude. That's the attitude.
Don't stop me. Don't stop me. Don't stop me.
Okay, I apologize. Go ahead.
Let me finish my.
Fight over here. We're about to fight.
Because here's why. Because sometimes black folk won't give you quality. They'll give you. They're so busy hustling. They don't give you quality in things. I'm not talking about. Hold on, let me finish. I'm not talking about all black people, but I'm just saying from dealing with certain black people, white people too. So it's not just black people, but I'm just saying in general. If I buy a product from you and your product is garbage, I'm not going to buy a product from you again. I'm not unless you can tell me that was just an anomaly. It was a bad batch or something happened, and that's the reason why. See, when we try to put out money with the black dollar sometimes. People don't want to necessarily do what it takes. Because I'm black, you should buy from me. Because I'm black, you should get service from me. Okay, I'm gonna take you on. Here's my money. I need you to power wash my house. Well, damn, there's a whole house. You power wash half my house, and you told me you'd be back on Tuesday. Damn, it's 2 months later. Are you gonna power wash the other side of my house?
So, now, Mr. Garrett, do you want to address that?
Can I do it? Can I do it?
You go ahead and do it.
Let me finish. Let me finish. So when you talk about us as black people being intentional with our dollar, I believe in that. But what I do believe in is I'm not going to patronize anybody just because you're black. I will give you an opportunity because you're black. But if I give you that opportunity and you garbage and you don't do what you say, I'm done and I move on to somebody else. But I'm just saying in general, just because you're black don't mean you're going to get my dollar if you're not giving me good service or good quality. That's my point. But go ahead.
So no, and that would be with any product or service, right? But you don't hear the same level. It's we have to prove ourselves, right? See, white businesses don't have to prove themselves simply because they white. So you'll never hear that same thing you just said about white businesses. The presumption is
but go ahead.
But I'm just saying, but in general, the presumption is, oh, it's just good. It's a business. It's not, if it's black, you got this whole criteria of now you got to prove that you can't make no mistakes because why? So I'm saying even out the gate before you get the service or not, we must acknowledge that there is a perception that the black ice ain't as cold as the white ice. Okay, let's start there. And that's just being honest because we've been told to think that. We've been told to think that. So once you come out the gate with the perception that something ain't as cold and they both the same temperature, you're judging it differently. Now, let's set that aside because some people do bad business, right? Some people do bad business.
That's my point.
That's with anybody.
Yeah.
But we got to also understand that not everybody that does bad business deserves to be let go. They might need feedback. They might need training because we don't have 400 years worth of economic training and business training that's been kept from us. You know, and sometimes we got to give that extra chance just because you black, because that chance I give you might be the thing that turns you in the direction you need. Like for me, there have been some musicians that I've hired to where typically I could have been done with you after what you just did. But let me train you.
What did they do first? Let me ask you this. What did they do?
Well, you know, it's probably late, you know, probably not keeping it, you know, things that people do that to me is bad business. You see what I'm saying? Keep your word. You know what I mean?
Right.
But I'm saying I've always felt like if this is a teachable moment, let me teach you, not necessarily give you a pass for you to do bad business with me, but let me give you the type of feedback that will help you get better if you desire to get better. And a lot of people don't even have a chance to get on the other side of the curve because you're constantly trying to prove that, you know, your ice is as cold as the other ice. And that's how we do each other out the gate. And we have to acknowledge that in our own minds because I have to do it too. I have to constantly remind myself, if I need to get somebody to fix my air condition, before I call just the regular air condition person, let me call somebody like, you know, a black HVAC guy, you know, can you send them to me? Call, because there are different tiers in both, in all races and different tiers of business. Hey, if you want to compete in this economy, be up here, be black and be up here, be fit.
That's my point. We have to be better to each other. See,
right.
My point isn't that, you know, if you're late, now I ain't messing with you no more. People are late. Traffic, I ain't talking about that kind of stuff. I'm talking about the hustle mentality where I'm not going to stand behind the product or the service. I just want the money. I'm here to hustle you.
That's just bad business. That's bad business.
But see, that's my point. A lot of us, you have people that's doing bad business, but as black people say, you know, you should do business with him. I already know we do bad business. Why am I going to do that? Because he's black.
But I think that the difference is when we do something wrong, it's an indictment on everybody. When they do something wrong, it's an indictment on themselves. And that's the challenge. When if it's one black business that did bad, find another black business that's going to do well.
Exactly.
Don't just say, well, black folk don't do good, let me call the white business. See, I think that's what we typically do. We give it a shot. You know what? That's why I can't. And I'll give you one example. I hate to say this, but I was dealing with an organization that was doing a black event, and there was a black production company and a white production putting in a bid. They told me, I don't want to deal with the black folk. A black person, a black promoter said, I don't fool. I don't give it to the white person. $15,000 contract.
That's that stigma again.
But the white guy came in, I ain't gonna lie, his equipment wasn't that good. I had to help his engineer get the mix right. He brought cheesy old mute. And I know the brother had better equipment than that. But they simply said, I don't fool with nobody black. And you black. So you gave the 15 grand to the other production company as opposed to giving. And what I'm saying is, if that white company, if he was black owned and brought that gear up in there, we would have ran his butt up out of there if he was black owned. That's all I'm saying. We give passes sometimes for them that we don't give for ourselves. And that's not right. That's all I'm saying is everybody could be on a curve. A mistake is a mistake. Integrity is integrity. If you're going to support black economy, then help build black economy. And then, create that challenge. Like I say, we all in the same league. We might be on different teams, but if the league do well, just compete to be the best team in the league.
Right. And do my point in saying this to black business. Do what you say you're gonna do, and give people quality. It's a difference to me. If I buy a shirt from you, realistic. If I buy a shirt from you, I wash it one time, and whatever was on the shirt just comes off. Of course, I'm gonna call you and say, "Hey, man, my shirt is messed up. I washed it one time. Was it something that I did? What's going on?" I don't get no call back. I can't get up with you. I would say, you don't know my number no more. But when I tried to, when you wanted me to buy that shirt, you answer my call every time. When you wanted me, to give you that business, I can talk to you anytime I want. But now that there's an issue, I can't seem to get up with you. So you don't stand behind your product. My point to black businesses is stand behind your product and do the right thing. If you make a mistake, I don't have a problem with somebody saying to me, I made a mistake. Hey, you supposed to power wash my house on Tuesday. I ain't heard from you for 2 weeks. Oh, I was in quarantine. Okay.
And I'll say this, one of the things that in terms of training and education, the educational system is not training us to run businesses, okay? It's just not. That's typically learned a lot of times from family and surroundings and people in terms of how to successfully run and own a business. So entrepreneurial training is just not just common knowledge that we take it for granted because people go out and just start participating and doing business. But do you know business? You know what I'm saying? Like, I got a business degree. So I'm a musician, I'm an artist, but I'm able to do what I do because I have a solid education underneath all my creativity. You know what I'm saying? And so we're even with the program that I work with, we do, I got a lot of guys that go through my songwriting program, they want to be rappers. I say, before I can do anything with your music career, you're going to have to graduate from my entrepreneurial program, period. If you go out here and put out a record, you ain't even signed up with ASCAP or BMI, how they going to get your money to you? If you don't properly encode your song. Do you know what encoding a song is? No, I never heard of that. Well, if you don't encode the song, all your streams are just streams. You're getting eyeballs, but you ain't getting paid. Now, if I don't sit down and tell them that and show them and walk them through the process of how to simply set up your business properly, you don't even know how to get paid from participating in the economy of music. You just sending that money out there to the stockholders of Google and Facebook. So if we don't educate ourselves, and sometimes it has to be us to do it because it's not in the best interest of those who simply want us to be employees the rest of our life as opposed to owners. So that's just my person. I don't know if that's everybody else's calling, but for me, I'm taking my success and saying, well, how can I help develop people in whatever industry we're in so that they can actually run a business and not just participate, you know what I'm saying, in this music thing, and not be able to pay bills, but looking on social media like you got it popping, but you living in your car. You know what I'm saying? So I've taken that as a part of my company, is the artistic and the entrepreneurial development. Before we start doing music business, you need to actually have a introductory understanding of business principles.
Let me ask you this quick question. I don't know if you can answer it kind of a quick synopsis. I'm a up and coming artist. I got this song, and I want to put it out. Everybody telling me it's hot. I ain't put it out there yet. People have heard it, whatever. Can you give me a few steps that I need to start off with before I just put my song out there?
It's a lot of missing pieces to what you're saying, you know, but if this just somebody, you know, of course.
I'm a guy, and let's say I produced the song myself, so it's all me. I produced it, I rapped on it, so it's, everything's me. So I don't have no other producer or nobody else. I did it all myself. I got a song, everybody's telling me it's hot. I don't know what to do with it. How, I want to.
Right. First question I ask, are you registered with a performance rights organization? First question. And your answer would be yes or no. And if you say no, I'm gonna say, well, song could be hot, but you're not gonna get paid. Who's gonna collect your money? So that's the first thing I would ask. They like, I don't know nothing about that. Then that's door number one. We need to go down that door, hold your song, because if it's that hot and it generates money, it's not coming to your bank account. So don't do it just yet. Don't slow down. If they say yes, okay, great. Let's go ahead and make sure you properly register and copyright your song. Make sure you get it encoded properly. Make sure you go online and log into your performance rights organization and register the song there. So that get in the system right first, so that all your streams are counted towards you, right? So it slow down. Properly release the song. Don't just throw it out there because you're anxious. So it's either going to be door number one or door number two. If you are registered and you got your publishing company, everything set up properly, there's a proper way to release a song to make sure that if it gets on radio, your spins are getting registered. If it is on Spotify or SoundCloud, you're getting, you're getting monitored properly, as opposed to just getting social media action and, oh man, I had this many views, but it generates no revenue for you in the long run in terms of your royalty payouts and things of that nature. So that would be how I would approach that person, is from a business perspective, saying, are you set up properly? Are you not?
Okay. Just a little information for the aspiring artists out there who have the music and don't know what, how to get it out there, what to do with it first. Just
yeah.
And
I think after that, like what you do, the whole promotions part of it is a whole nother conversation.
Oh, yeah.
But before, and I tell my students that, I tell them that, I say, look, man, you got this bucket, right? It's your bucket. If ain't but 2 raindrops in, them your raindrop. They're 2 bloop, bloop. They're yours. You caught them. But what if it's storming and it's the bucket is there. It's going to catch what's coming. I say, you got to make sure you get your bucket right first, because you don't want to miss them 2 drops. 2 drops could be 200 drops. Could be 2 million drops. You know what I'm saying? It's being properly set up to make sure that you catch what's yours, because them my two raindrops. And they understand that and say, oh, that makes sense. It might be 2 pennies today, but it could be 2 mil tomorrow. Same process, doesn't change.
Now, is this something they can do on their own, or should they have representation to do that?
Man, you find it as much as they found on the internet. It doesn't take representation to go to ASCAP.com and pay the little fee to get a writer's number, right? To set up a publishing company. It walks you straight through it. That part is not rocket science. Sure. It's just, you need to know that that's what you should do, so that you have all the information on the front end of registering your song to make sure that it's properly routed to you and credited to you. And that part, like you say, they're not teaching that in high school, even in college. That's just part of getting the education for this industry.
That's good stuff.
Good information.
That's good information.
There you go.
All right, Alvin. So what are you working on now? We had to let you get out of here. We've been on here a while now, which is great.
Hey, man, so you chop it up real good. Well, right now, like you say, it's the holidays. I am working on a Christmas show, an annual Christmas show that we do called Christmas with the Cats here in Birmingham. It'll be a live stream concert December 19th. And I'm also preparing to release a new single called My Gift to You. Now, it's relevant for the Christmas season, but it's made for everyday lovers. Okay, it's called My Gift to You. I'm looking to release that here in the next couple of days, and that'll be the first lead single off of a new project I'm putting out called The Lightness of Love. Just a lighthearted love album, and I test this music with my daughters. I got an 11-year-old and a 6-year-old, 2 girls, and I make sure that I write my music to where they can hear it, feel like dance with daddy. But then if I want to dance with mama, it takes on a different life. And that, to me, that's the beauty of how music was written in the 60s and 70s, to where you could be saying something freaky, but it's poetic. You know what I'm saying? It's coded language to where you can play it around the kids and not feel like, hey, you got to do that. So, you know, I've been very meticulous and picky and choosy about the music and the lyrics to make sure they like, did you write that about me, daddy? You know what I'm saying? They should feel like that, even though I might have wrote about mama. You know what I'm saying? And so I'm really looking forward to releasing that music because it's light. You know what I'm saying? It's love, but it's light. And I feel like you should be able to float. And we need that, something lighter. It's like, okay, I'm grooving with you, you know? So first quarter, I'll be releasing a new EP called The Lightness of Love. And I'm just excited about the new year coming up. You know, this year has been, I say it's been one of my better years. I mean, no disrespect to the challenges we've had with the pandemic, but I needed to slow down. You know what I'm saying? Honestly, I have been ripping and running and just hustling and grinding for 20 years. It slowed me down, man, and I was able to breathe, you know, get off the stage, get off the road, and just listen to my heart, man, and listen to myself and find myself. And that was a beautiful thing that came out of this year for me, is that I was and hear my own art, Mr. Baldwin, as you say, appreciating art. I'm at a place now to where I listen to my own music for me. And I used to make music to sell it. And now I'm making music for me to listen to when I'm exercising and riding in the car. And it's art to me, you know, because you ain't got nothing else but yourself, truth be told. With this pandemic, you had to spend time with yourself. So that's why I feel like I found the best music I've been making is when I love it for real, regardless of who else love it. And that's a special place for me. And I'm looking forward to continuing to put out music that I feel is art. That's my art.
So if everybody wants to go get some of that Alvin Garrett, grown folk, sexy, seductress, but yet encoded music, where did they go find that at?
Well, I'm on all the streaming sites, Apple Music, Spotify. You can go to alvingarrett.com to learn more about me, as well as get linked to my music. But if you're looking for some show enough grown, go back to 2012, my first release called Expose Yourself. And I ain't cutting no corners with that one.
I'm a grown man. I ain't gonna repeat what you just said. Expose yourself.
I ain't cutting no corners with that one. We straight to mama on that one, baby. So that one ain't for the kids. You put them out with my first album. So
2012. I gotta go back and check that out.
There you go. Expose yourself.
Gotta see what you done done. You running around here exposed. So I got to go see what you
done. Yeah. What I say, be naked and not ashamed.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, man, this has been a great conversation. We really appreciate you coming and hanging out with us on the virtual set of the Gentleman Style Show.
Yeah. Appreciate y'all having me, man. It's been wonderful. And I absolutely got to come across state lines in the near future, man. Maybe I can perform for the audience. What y'all think about that when I come?
We can do that. We can,
we can
we
definitely
can,
do that.
we can set that up, make that happen.
Yeah.
Definitely. We actually have a small stage in the studio.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, we might as well go and make that a deal because I know we did a lot of talking, but you're going to have to let me sing to them in a little bit, you know.
Yeah.
All good.
Love that.
All good.
Got to make that happen. Got to make that happen.
Yeah.
Well, anything
That gives them something to get the mouth watering, some anticipation.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's some good stuff.
When we drop that new album, we can have us a Gentleman of Style album release over there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Let's do it.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I know we're wrapping up here, but I just want to say before we get out of here, I really appreciate what you said this evening. I believe that you brought value to the conversation because, and I wholeheartedly know that because I learned something. I learned something. Anytime I can say I learned something, or something that inspired me or piqued my interest to go and look further in that, then to me that makes a great conversation for me on that. And I'd like to say thank you, and I really appreciate, and I can't wait till we speak again.
Absolutely, man. Well, that's an honor, man. I appreciate you letting me know that, man.
Absolutely. Anything else?
Got me 2 new brothers.
Absolutely, man. So you're doing some positive things out there, man. You ever need the assistance of Ball and Creech, because Gentleman of Style is the show and the platform, and that's also one of our monikers. But if you ever need the assistance of Ball and Creech, just send a shout out, send up a road flare, whatever you need, man. We always ready to do something positive and help out with people's different projects. So.
Absolutely. I'll definitely be keeping you guys posted. Like say my students, we record the songs that we write, we put them out, and we're doing some just transformative work with the Department of Labor, with what I call second chance organizations that are working with people, getting their life together in the workforce development field. So just sort of merging the music, because we know our young Black kids, they really listen to this music, man.
Yeah.
And so just trying to create a different outlet to help facilitate their redemption in life. So I definitely will keep you guys posted on how things are going. That project is called The Right Life, WRITE, The Right Life. So as that grows and we put out new music, I'll definitely keep you informed so we can just celebrate, people getting themselves together,
Sounds good. Anything else you want to leave our audience with? Anything else you want to put out there?
Well, I always say, wherever you are going in life, lead and serve as you go. Life is not about what you can take, but what you can give and what you leave. That really matters. So live life as a servant of the world you live in, serve mankind, serve your brothers, and then you'll find that life will give more back to you. And so I always serve with humility, no matter how high I go. I always keep my hand out to uplift. So
good enough.
Great word. Go ahead, Bob.
Perfect. All right. Just like we came into this thing, we're going to leave this thing. It's been a great conversation, and we're going to leave it just like we always leave it. There is no excuse for good taste, because here at the Gentleman of Style Show, we believe in better. Until next time.